Tawna Eubanks McCoy to the Refined Strength podcast. I'm super excited to have you here. So, Tawna, you are just such a badass leader in our industry and our little Dallas bubble, but also just like in general as kind of like an influencer who's been doing the whole bodybuilding, fitness, wellness thing for a really long time in so many ways. So I wanted to have you on to kind of talk about just kind of your journey and how your identity and how your life and world has shifted since you first got into fitness. So,
well, that is quite the intro. So thank you so much for the kind words, Rachel. That means the world to me. And I am so honored to be here today. So thank you for inviting me and having me. And I'm really looking forward to getting down into all of those topics. And I'm an open book, so ask away. I am here for it all.
Awesome. So first of all, just like tell who you are. Like what does that mean to you in whatever definition it comes out as?
How is it that we know who we are, but yet that's the hardest question ever asked in humanity ever, right? Like, how do I describe who I am in a nutshell? I am Tawna McCoy. I am a gym owner. I am a wife. I am a dog mom. I am a people person and a former IFBB Bikini Pro. And now I put all of my focus and my efforts into our gym, who I own with my loving husband, Greg McCoy.
Yes. Yeah, so I think I first met you after I had joined Hidden Gym. You guys own 3 Hidden Gym locations in the Dallas area, and I just was so drawn to you, but also just to Hidden because of how just how you are, your personality. You're just a very open and loving, joyous person, and you're always smiling. You always are so inviting, and I think that's just probably one of the biggest reasons Hidden has done so well in terms of just the community that you guys have built and the positive gym environment that you have. Talk about how you feel like yourself and your identity has grown as a gym owner just the last few years, because you guys opened up the first gym in 2018 or 2019. Okay.
Yeah. Well, excuse me as I'm over here choking because it literally made me emotional. Thank you so much for the kind words, Rachel. That touched my soul. That was super sweet. And I really love to hear that. So thank you. Literally wiping a tear. So thank you. So Greg and I opened Hidden in 2019. And we've actually been owning gyms since 2009. So Greg owned his first gym, and then I came in the picture and married into being a gym owner. I didn't know that it would become a passion of mine, but when health and fitness and working out became a part of my life, so did being a gym owner. So we've owned 2 other gyms previously, but in 2019 we were given the opportunity to take over a fallen gym, which was previously oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. The Den. It was previously the Den, and it was an indoor rugby gym. And we were presented, hey, this is not really working. I can't think of anybody else to take this over and make it into something cool. And so that was the first time that we had consumed a previous gym and then renamed, rebuilt, and created what is now Hidden Gym.
And was that the Allen location?
That was the Allen location. So Allen is the OG location. It opened in 2019. We had every intentions and still do of creating more locations and, 10-year or sooner. I don't know. We're hoping to one day be able to franchise her. These are just big dream aspirations and goals that we have, and especially for the brand Hidden Gym. It is I would say the brand and the gym and everything, this is the type of gym we've wanted from the beginning. You know, our previous gyms were more bodybuilding focused and niche, and Hidden Gym, as you know, is everything. We are not one niche. We are welcoming of all different walks of life, different styles of training, because we want just the world to be fit and healthy, and it not to feel secluded to one type. So Hidden Gym has been the dream, and it's happening, and the goal is to grow it even more. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So you did that in 2019. That was the year after your last show as an IFBB Bikini Pro. So
Yeah.
tell me about like how you competed for a while. I think you competed from 2011 to 2018, right?
2010 is when I did my first competition, but 2011 is when I did turn pro. You have done your research, sister.
So yeah, and like that was like around this time that body or bikini was like first starting, like
6 months old.
right?
It was 6 months old when I turned pro.
Wow.
Or, well,
So
when I
like
turned pro,
one of the OG
when I
bikini
first,
pros.
yeah, when I first started to compete, it was only 6 months old. And then I turned pro that next year. So, yeah, I was in those early days.
Yeah. You did really well too. Like looking at NPC News Online and just seeing your over the years your competitive history, like you were a good pro. Like you won a few
Thank you.
shows. You placed top 5 in several shows. Went to the Olympia once, right?
5 times.
5 times. Duh.
Yeah.
Um,
That is okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me like about how you shifted from like bikini pro Olympian, like high level athlete to then deciding to not compete anymore and go full into gym ownership and like starting Hidden Gym. Did
Yeah.
that all happen like kind of one after another?
Yeah, it did. And to be honest with you, Rachel, so 2018 was my last show, and it was actually Olympia.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, in my head and in my heart, it was not supposed to be my last one. I still had goals and ambitions of continuing to compete, at least for a little while. I didn't really know how long, but
Yeah.
I knew, I felt anyways. Yeah, I felt that I had more gas in the tank. However, now looking back, I think that it is God was telling me, oh, sister, no, you don't have more gas in the tank. Then it was only because of my health. So I had quite a few health issues that year, and it forced me to stop competing. And so my life then turned into no more competing and be a professional athlete and basically on survival mode. And let's figure out what's going on with you, your health, your body, and let's make sure that you're okay. Yeah. And in that same moment, Greg and I had just signed the papers to create Hidden Gym. So not only did I abruptly stop my entire career that I had no intentions on stopping in that moment, we also had just signed papers to start building Hidden Gym, and then I get sick. So my life for the first year of Hidden Gym was really hard. Yeah. Really hard. And I am so grateful and thankful that, you know, Greg and I are not only husband and wife, but business partners, because he was able to come through and take that lead. And then I had to put all my focus and my efforts into figuring out what's going on with Tawna and my health. So that was really hard and tricky for so many reasons. To be so focused in something, and as a competitor yourself, you know what it takes to compete on stage. Yeah. To be so hyper focused, to be at an elite level, to be coming off the Olympia stage and be ready to do what you need to do to get back there that next year, to bam, you're literally bedridden, no more. You are going to doctor office after doctor office. And I talk about my health journey. I don't really want to like spend the whole podcast talking about my health journey. I have other podcasts and it's on my YouTube channel. So if you girls or guys or anyone is interested, go check it there. But it was quite the transition. And that took me a long time mentally to get over, because I was not ready to stop competing. I was still ready to, go to Olympia the next year or try for it. And I was also ready to begin our new chapter with our new gym. And all my efforts had to turn into my health.
Yeah. What do you think, was there a turning point? I'm sure there was, about like where you finally had to just let go of competing, or you decided to let go? Did you feel like it was I'm deciding to do this now and really just focus on my health, and that's okay and that's a good thing?
Yeah.
Or do you really feel like it was forced?
It, it really was forced. But I'm pretty headstrong. And I really put myself to the test. And that's when I kind of figured out that it was more a God thing, it is a health thing, but it is a God thing, because every time I tried to come back or get ready again or start putting myself in that position, working out, doing all of the things, something else would happen. Something else would fall apart. Something would get hurt. Something, just always something, to where I think it was when I tore my foot. I tore my plantar fascia. So the arch of your foot, it tore. That was probably the worst injury in my whole athletic career ever. I think it took my foot being taken away from me, where I was like, okay, newsflash, wake up, we're done. Sit down, It literally took my foot for me to go, okay, we have to close this chapter. I wasn't ready to close this chapter, but apparently he has other things going for me, and I need to listen, and I'm not. And I kept pushing myself, and my body just kept saying no. So I think it was probably 2021 before I actually said, you know what, I never officially announced I'm retired and all of that. I think it's just graceful to just walk away. But I think it was 2021 when I really came to terms with myself and said, okay, we're done. We're not going to do that road anymore. It was a fun ride, and we did awesome with it and did such cool things, but it's time to go to the next chapter.
Yeah. What was that a kind of a disappointing thing, or did you at that point, that had been a while since you had competed? So did you feel like it was an easier transition after you found that realization, or was it hard to kind of mourn that identity of a competitor?
Yeah. The first year there was so much going on. I would say all of 2019, it was just such a whirlwind because of how sick I was. And there was so much uncertainty and unknown that I couldn't even think of anything else. I am just I just want to live and be healthy. And I just want to make it through this, that I couldn't even think about anything. It was 2020 hit, which was crazy, awful for everybody in the entire world. Yeah. But coming off of that, and then our brand new business surviving somehow COVID, I don't know how it did, but it did. It was 2021 when I tore my foot, and then the 2019, 2020 year kind of really dumped on me. And I would say that I 100% went through depression in 2021. And that was a real awakening, and actually realizing what's going on. And so 2019, it was survival mode. 2020, also kind of survival mode with COVID and our business. And then it was 2021 when I just kind of realized, wow, I really am done. There is a new chapter. and what am I going to do with myself? Yes, I am a business owner, but this was such a huge part of my life. It was all of my life. It's just what I did. I
Yeah.
competed as a professional athlete, and that was my literal job. And I did it with all my heart and soul because I love to perform and be on stage, and I've always been an athlete. So I do everything passionately. So it was really hard for me after that. I think it wasn't until the next year, maybe 2022, where I started to go, okay, it's okay. It is not your identity. You are more than Tawna, the fitness competitor, more than the IFBB Bikini Pro. And you can still have health and fitness a part of your life by being a gym owner. Not that I didn't know that, but those are those self-talks that I had.
Yeah, it's definitely a shift too, because like when you are at an elite level in bodybuilding, and like I see a lot of younger competitors kind of fall into this where they make their entire identity bodybuilding. And
Yep.
so the issue with that is, and that you found obviously in that really hard point of your life, is that like when your whole identity is something, you don't have anything else. So what happens when it gets taken away against your will? Then you're left with nothing. And so
Yep.
that's why like I that was part of the reason why I wanted to have you on, because like even though I've never had this talk with you, like I kind of saw that in terms of like I met you in 2022, I think, when I joined. I think
Yeah.
you were still on your little roller thing with your foot when I
Betty.
first met you.
I
So
named her Betty because
Betty,
she was with me for 24 weeks.
Jesus, yeah, like
Awful.
I remember meeting you then, and just seeing how like you went from that point to where you're at now. Like you just have evolved so much, like as an athlete, as a gym owner, and just like as a person, from someone who's completely outside and external, like
Yeah.
and so I think a lot of people don't think that they can do that while bodybuilding. They think that their life has to be about bodybuilding. But what you found obviously is like that's not true. You can be an athlete and you can be competitive and passionate about your sport without actively competing.
Yep. Yep. I wish um, that I had been able to see that while I was in it. That's unfortunately not the way it works. And I honestly think it happened to me the way that it did because I do have a voice. I do have a platform. I'm not bashful. I talk about anything and everything. And I'm meant to share my story and my experience and hope that it can, encourage and help and give some insight to those that are kind of in the middle of it or thinking about it or the beginnings. And I think it goes, Rachel, with everything even outside of bodybuilding. I see a lot of people do that in their careers, in school, in relationships. I mean, I think you can implement that into anything in life and just know that, you are your own person. You are not the things that you do. They don't just, you don't identify the things that you do. They're a part of who you are, but they are not who you are. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, it totally does. I think that that's like some of the best advice you could get as someone who's like starting new in anything, whether it's like you said, a new job, a new relationship with bodybuilding or a different sport, is like just still having other things about you,
Yep.
because like we have so much capacity to be these well-rounded humans with so much going on. Like
Yeah.
you're a gym owner, but you're also not just a gym owner. Like you're how long have you been with caged? You're still a caged athlete.
I
You've done
have been
forever, right?
I have been with Caged since they first even became a thing, and that was in 2017.
Yeah, that's crazy. And
Yeah,
like you
7
don't have to be
years,
a
8 years.
bodybuilder in order to be doing that. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
something that I think a lot of people don't really think about. It's like I can't once I'm done bodybuilding, I just like I'm done being an athlete, and that's just not true.
No, and it's really not. And I feared for that because I have been an athlete my entire life. I mean, the first thing I ever did was like all the dance classes at 3 years old. And I'll never forget, my mom was like, you know, how are you liking dance and ballet, tap, jazz? I was doing all of the things, and I was like, I really like it, but I said, I feel bored. And she said, bored? You're doing like 5 classes. How could you be bored? And I'm like, it's not it. And I'm like 4, by the way, which is like, when I think back on it, I'm like, oh my God. I said, I want something more active. And I got into gymnastics.
Okay.
And then from there, it was just like more and more and more. And so it was gymnastics and basketball and volleyball and track. And I've always done so many things. And I've always had an athletic background. And even in my off seasons when I didn't compete in, you know, there, sometimes my off seasons were 2 years, 3 years. I didn't do 6-month off seasons. I think that's why I had a lot more longevity in the sport. From 2010 to 18 is quite a while, especially for a female. We don't handle it as well. Our bodies are not created to do this. Yeah. But I would always try to do other things. I would do Spartan races or run. I picked up running. And until the past like couple years that my body wasn't like freaking falling apart, literally, I've been picking up more things and doing more things. You know, I do tennis and pickleball, and I still weightlift. I always will. And I'm a gym owner, for crying out loud. So I'll always work out, but I'm still always trying to do the things that, you know, make me feel like an athlete, because those are the things that make my heart pitter patter.
Yeah, and not tying like feeling like an athlete to a certain activity or a certain aesthetic either. I think it's like
Right.
that's something that I'd love to know more about, like how you changed your, I guess, standard for what your aesthetic is in terms of your physique, because like you've always been like a leaner athletic person, but bodybuilding lean and lifestyle lean are very different. And like now you're back doing a lot of modeling too, right?
Yeah.
Talk about
Yeah.
that, just like your kind of
Mm-hmm.
how that aesthetic has changed and how you've been able to become like happy about where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's also a hard thing too, especially coming from a bodybuilding world where nothing but your physique matters. Like nothing matters. It's only about the looks and aesthetics. And it is quite the transition, and it was not by any means easy. You know, to go, okay, I'm not going to be lifting with all my might. I had to, as you were saying, a leaner. I'm not meant for, I don't know why I got into the like sport that my body was absolute like, you're supposed to be a like endurance runner, not a bodybuilder. Like I'm long, lean, lanky, long muscles.
Yeah.
Like I don't build very good. I can get lean, but building is not my greatest feature there. But you know, it was a transition to kind of switch that frame of mind, if you will, to not being the most jacked and rippest that I can be. I will say the being forced with my health issues made that a little bit easier of a transition, because when you're like fighting for your life, you don't give a shit. Sorry, excuse my French. You don't give a shit what you look like. You know, you're just like, I don't care what happens to my body. Like, I just want to be good. I want to walk. I want to move. So a lot of those things quickly humbled me. And just made me freaking grateful to be able to put my foot down on the ground or get up and take a walk outside or whatever it is, you know. I was quickly humbled with all of the health issues. And it really put things into perspective on what was truly important. And though, of course, we all want to have a good physique. I mean, you'd be lying if you said you don't care about it at all. But that made the process a little easier, was because when I was able to get back to movement, even just walking, literally, it didn't matter to me what I looked like. But now, of course, like I'm always trying to just keep my physique in a position that I like. I have not focused on trying to weightlift hard or keep a bunch of muscle. And as you mentioned, I signed with a modeling agency this year, which has been a lifelong dream of mine. I've always modeled, but it's always been fitness and swimsuit modeling and freelance, which
Yeah.
meant I just figured it out myself. And this is
Yeah.
the first time that I have an agent at an agency, and it's literally my childhood dream. And the physique, of course, is, I do get fitness modeling gigs, but it's a totally different physique than the bodybuilding physique. So I just work on maintaining feeling good, and trying to keep somewhat a little bit of muscle that I had. But I'm by no means focused on it. And yeah, I think overall, I've had some things that helped me move past that part. But for someone who was just going to quit competing and transition, I know how hard that can be, because truthfully, if you have competed even in one bodybuilding show, you are inevitably going to get some form of body dysmorphia. And that is like just the 100% truth.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's really hard to be objective about your body in regardless of the phase you're in such a
Yeah,
subjective sport,
it
because
is.
you're literally just being judged by strangers.
Yep,
And then now we have social media too, where we're being judged by them all the
yep,
time, and they
yep.
don't really matter as much as the judges. But
So,
things with judging changes over the course of the year and the years and the region, and so many things. And the sport is very much a you versus you thing, but it's also very competitive
mm-hmm.
against anyone who shows up. And I think that's like the hardest part about that body dysmorphia, is that you have to be just realistic about
Yeah,
where you're at any given point, and keep your blinders on. Know that like your self-worth does not change or should not change based on your placing, how you look on
yeah,
Instagram, how you look next to somebody else, what someone says about you. Like, it shouldn't change at all. But
yeah.
that's a really hard thing to like keep a mentally strong barrier up against, especially when you're brand new.
100%. It is, everything that you said is so valid. Um, as you were talking, it reminded me, it was a long time ago now, but it made me think about this post. I will have to just go back and find it. But I made a post one time that kind of said that, and I said, you are more than a number.
Mm-hmm.
And that, when I listed out, like, you are more than whatever the number could be, I mean, I think I had like 20 bullet points on the post. And then women were commenting what that number meant to them. So you're more than the number on the scale. You're more than the number of your pant size. You're more than the number of your age. You're more than the number of followers, likes, and comments that you get. You're more than the placing number. Like, the list literally goes on. And when women started to comment what their number was, that kind of like lemurs over their head,
Yeah.
it was just, you're more than a number. And that's really hard, because everybody has like a different number of some sort, that it's hard to get past.
When you are told that like it's
Yeah.
important, to we do track our weight when we're in prep or off season. We track our body fat, our
Mm-hmm.
measurements and things like that, and they're important metrics, but they're never more important than who you are. Like, the
Yeah.
goal of bodybuilding, I like to tell my clients sometimes, like, bodybuilding is not that serious. Like, yes, in order to do well, you have to take it seriously, but it's
Yeah.
not so serious that you have to, like, your quality of life should go down, or your self-worth, or your image of your body and how you feel about your body, because at the end of the
Yep.
day, it's your body. And
Mm-hmm.
like, nobody really cares about what happens on a bodybuilding stage. Not, at least not in the real world.
So honest, so true, and so valid, and it's 100% right, Rachel. I 1,000% agree with everything that you said. And I think for me, that harsh reality of nothing matters if you don't have your health was a rude freaking awakening.
Yeah.
And it was just like nothing, because I can't do anything if I don't have my health. And so it really just puts a reality check and puts things into perspective. So when you're saying it's really not that big a deal,
yeah, because your health matters, and like your health isn't worth like a trophy or a placing. And bodybuilding, nobody should go into it thinking it's a healthy sport, because it's an extreme sport, and there's
yes,
so many unhealthy things we do to be good at bodybuilding, and there's
yeah,
ways to do it in a healthier way, and there's ways to like bounce back from it in a healthier way, but it's still what it is. And so
yep,
you know, I think going back to what you said about longevity, it's like taking time off more often between shows, taking enough time to prep, to grow, you know, taking care of your health even while bodybuilding. I think
yep,
luckily, I think the sport has gone more in that direction with focusing a little bit more on health, or like at least a lot of coaches are.
yeah,
But going back to like just the body image thing and deciding to go into modeling and being that type of an athlete and a human, what made you decide to like go for that when you're, you know, you're in your 30s, right? Yeah. So like you're in your 30s, I would say that that's like not the time to start modeling, right? But you did it, and now you're fulfilling that dream. What kind of got you to that place, especially after having to kind of give up on a dream that you once had with bodybuilding?
yeah. So, you know, and again, like everything drives from like the health issues that I had.
Yeah.
But when I did recover and I started to feel like myself again, and I was like, okay, and kind of coming to terms with everything, that was my decision to say, okay, I'm going to, I feel like I have always been this way, but I'm going to do everything that I have always wanted to do. You know, I'm going to go after every dream that I've always wanted to, but especially that I felt like I got this second chance at life. I'm not going to miss out on anything. I'm just going to go after it. I'm going to try, and you don't know till you try.
Yeah.
And especially now that I was in a position where I would have more efforts and time, because when you do compete and you are on the elite level and professional, that's pretty much it. That's what you do. That's it. You go to the gym, you prep your food, you do your cardio, and you go lay down because you're freaking tired. You know, like you don't really do anything else, which is sad. That's a part of that. Like, you know, there are other things going on in life. And I think a lot of thought process was, okay, I did accomplish amazing things in that time span that I competed, but I feel like I also missed out on a lot of things. And I feel like I was just kind of rewinding a bit on all the things that I would have done and tried. And I've just been doing them. And so last year, I just was like, I think I have to do this. I'm just going to submit. I'm just going to submit to agencies, because I had been doing that since I was 17 years old. And at that time, it was a very different world in the modeling world. I'm not 6 foot flat footed and, you know, very thin. I am, yes, in the bodybuilding world thin, but I'm curvier. I have hips and a small waist, so I have like this very curvy shape, and I do have muscle. I'm 5'8", not 6 foot. So that wasn't considered model standards in those years that I was trying to get with an agency. And then that's how I discovered, well, I fit the mold of fitness modeling. I'm an athlete. I have pageant background. I can do this. So yeah, in my 30s, they still need models that are 30-year-olds. And I mean, I have some 60 and 50-year-olds that are in the agency that I'm with. I mean, they need models of blonde hair, brown hair, dark skin, light skin, young, old, babies. So yeah, I just said, F it. You don't know till you know, and you got to give it a try. And I did. And I submitted to a ton of agencies, a ton. But I'm honored and grateful that my agent and my agency, The Block, said we got to catch her up and let's get it on the double. And that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. So how has that added to your life since you started that?
It is the feeling of like true accomplishment, of following through with something that I've literally dreamed about since I was a little girl. And it's just the thing that makes my heart pitter patter. It's just the thing that I do that makes me go, that lifts my soul. It makes me happy. I love performing. I love being behind the camera. I'm not doing the modeling because I'm trying to be Angelina Jolie or Rachel McAdams, though I do love them. I'm not trying to be Candace Swanepoel, you know, though I do love her. I do it because it just makes my heart and my soul happy. And I think it's really important to have those things to do in life. Like, yes, I'm still a gym owner and this is what we do. And it is also a passion, but I also need my own things that I do. And so the gym is like something that Greg and I do together, and we share that passion. But as an individual in a relationship, as a business owner, I think it's also really important to have those dreams and aspirations and things that you do on your own that just truly fulfill you. And I just love it. I love it so much. And that's what it brings to my life, is just happiness and joy. Those are my things that I love to do. So I think it's really important to do those.
Yeah. Why do you think it gives you so much joy?
I have always loved being in front of the camera. I mean, since little T, I think my first like actual modeling photo, I was 3, and my grandpa took it because he was a professional photographer.
Okay.
And my mom put it in the newspaper. That was just it. But when she did, I was like, it just came over me. I was like, I want to do this. And I love getting on the camcorder and doing performances for my mom. I've just always loved that. And that's just something that I think God put in my heart at a very young age. I also love being silly and goofy to perform because it makes people laugh and it makes people happy and smile. And then that fulfills me because I was able to make somebody happy and giggle for the day. So it's just one of those things that I've just always loved and kind of am good at naturally and have always done. So I think that that's just it. It's just a part of me.
Yeah. How you mentioned just like I love what you mentioned about the individual things that you have like on the outside of, you know, the thing you do with your spouse, whether you're in business with your spouse or not. Tell me about how Greg has supported you in this endeavor, because I think that's something that not a lot of people have in terms of the support that from their partner with something like this.
I think Greg has believed in me even more than I have believed in myself sometimes.
Yeah.
And he has supported everything I've ever done. And is a big encourager of my dreams and ambitions, whether it has to do with everything in the gym, in competing, or not at all. He was so happy whenever I said, I think I'm going to go for the modeling thing again, you know, now that he knows that, you know, my competing days are done. He knew that I was hungry for something. And we're both big people in, you know, he has his own passions and ambitions that he does and he likes to do, and I'm a big supporter of that, and I have mine, and then we have ours together. And I think that that really creates a healthy relationship, because you have to be, like what we were saying at the beginning of our conversation, your own individual person. And sometimes people can even put their identity too much into their relationship and not have their own identity. And we're big believers in that. So he is like just the best human in the entire world, and I know you know what I'm talking about, because
He's a good guy, for sure.
I just feel lucky that I even get to call him my husband, and I just think he's amazing and he's so supportive. And just like I said, I think he's believed in me sometimes more than I've even believed in myself.
I think that's important. You know, we do have to believe in ourselves in order to do the big things and go after our goals
Yeah,
and our dreams, because nobody's going to do it for us. But like
right.
having that support and that belief in you, that like, because no matter what and how confident you are, you're always going to have like some level sometimes
Doubts.
of
Yeah,
doubts or imposter syndrome or whatever. And some people
100%.
have that worse than others. But yeah, having that support system is a huge part of just being able to grow. And I wonder, did you guys ever have a period where you didn't have that and you needed to like create it, or was it like that from the beginning?
Oh, like being a support system for
Supportive
one
of like
another? Or
you being individuals and not like identifying with the relationship just by itself.
I think Greg and I can't explain how or why it happened, like the science behind it, but I think Greg and I kind of hit the ground running in that way.
Yeah.
I think it's why we just, you know, became so passionate in each other, was because, you know, we both saw how driven and ambitious each of us was. And though we knew we could be a great team, and we have been in multiple avenues, because he was my trainer. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know that,
Yeah, I do know.
but he's the reason that I even started competing and brought me to the Olympia and got me pro wins. And I mean, he is the reason. He was my trainer. And then we became gym partners, and we're also life partners. But I think we had that from the get-go, and I think that that's why we've been able to have such a strong relationship, is because we've always admired that about each other. And I don't want to be like my relationship and that's it only, and I don't do my own things, and like, oh, it just sounds, you
Sounds
know.
good.
And to each their own. I don't want to offend anyone. Like, if that's your thing, baby girl, do it. But for me, it's like, I just want to have my own things too, and I want him to have his own things, like whatever that is. That's just kind of how our relationship has been since day one.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's, you know, people say you have to love yourself before you can love others, and like love someone and be loved by
Oh yeah.
someone else. And that's what I think that is, like the root of that is that you guys have this really good solid partnership that is not only like you feel it, but everyone around you feels it. Like
Yeah.
everyone who goes to Hidden and has experienced you two like at Hidden or at shows or whatever, you know, following you guys even on social media, you guys are the cutest thing ever. With like, if anyone doesn't follow Greg and Tawna's Christmas photos, you are in for a treat. It is almost that time, and that's what I'm waiting for this season.
Christmas is around the corner,
It's
people.
coming,
Hang on.
but like you need that love of yourself and like of things
Yeah.
that are only yours in order for you to be able to like love someone else and have them love that for themselves. Because if you don't give someone else their freedom to just be themselves, then you're always going to have some level of like, whether it's resentment or
Yeah.
tension or whatever. I think most relationships that don't work out is usually because of communication. There's just like a
Yeah.
lapse or like missing something missing. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're fully all in on your person being your person and being their own person, then you just have less of that lack of communication.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, like to add in and snowball off of what you're saying, sometimes it's like if you don't have that, then you're using this person to fill this void, and the void is yourself and the love for yourself. And so you're using this person to feel that love when you should just love yourself first, and then you can be good for this person and they be good for you.
Yeah, I think people search for the person outside of themselves before they really like looked at themselves a lot of the time, and that's why, you know, you get people that are frustrated that they haven't found what you have with Greg because they're searching for it. They're looking for it in people that it's just never going to exist in. It only exists in yourself, and when you find it in yourself, that's when you like attract that energy of whoever is going to be that person.
Yeah. So well said.
Because you trained with him and then you went on a date. Like, tell me about how that
so super funny story. I always get, I'm not a bashful person. Greg is super bashful. But for whatever reason, this story makes me bashful, and I don't know why, but yeah. So, before Greg and I had met, I was competing in bikini competitions, but they were like Swimsuit International, Hawaiian Tropic, like local bar, competitions. It's how your girl was making money. Okay. So she was a hustler, and I was competing in a competition, and Greg sponsored the competition from his previous gym, Metroflex. And actually, Steve Kuklo and Greg are best friends, and they have been for many, many years. They judged the competition. Awesome. And so when the competition was done, Greg was waiting around because he wanted to talk to me. And I guess I was taking too long or forever. And he had to like take down his banners and like sponsorship stuff. And he was like, Steve, go wait at the door for that girl. Don't let her leave. And don't hit on her, I think is what he said. And don't hit on her, she's mine. I think that's what he said. I never remember it fully from his perspective. I only remember it really from mine. But I did. I came down there. Steve said, hey, and mind you, this is the first time I'm meeting Steve and Greg at the same time. And he was like, my boy wants to say hey and talk to you. And so finally I get to talk to Greg, and he's like, hey, you did great in the competition. I'm a trainer and I also own a gym. And there is actually a new division in the bodybuilding world, and it's the bikini division. And I think you have the perfect physique for it. And I think you would be amazing. I would love to train you. Here's my business card. Here's my business card. And it didn't hurt that, you know, I thought he was like easy on the eyes, and I was obviously attracted to him. But as an athlete and as somebody who was doing bikini competitions already and modeling and all of that, I was like, hell yeah. So I immediately emailed him that night, and he started training me. And I trained for my first competition 8 weeks later. And a whole year. Okay, Rachel, 1 whole year we were strictly trainer and client.
Wow.
And then finally we were in Vegas after I competed at nationals, and we're driving around, and I just go, okay, that's it. I can't take it anymore. I said, what's going on here? And the rest is history. And we have literally been together for 14 years and married for 8.
That's amazing. That's such a cool story. I love that so much. Just like, it makes sense. Just like knowing the little I do about you guys. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What do you feel like has been the hardest part of your like business partnership / life partnership? Because I'm sure there's been some hard stuff.
I think it's the balance. We are driven people. And we have a hard time shutting things down. And we'll be on the couch at midnight talking shop, you know, and it's like, We are way better at it now. But I think that had been the most challenging thing, was when to turn it off, when to be husband and wife, and when to be business partners.
Yeah.
And also quite the contrary, not bringing home the at-home stuff to work. It's like we're in a meeting and I'm looking at you like, I hate you from our conversation last night. You didn't put the dishes up, whatever it is. Not really, but you know what I mean. It's just trying to find that work-life balance, especially as business partners, but as life partners. And that's been the most difficult thing for us. But I would say it's not even an issue now. It was more at the beginning, and even more so when we first started to build the brand of Hidden Gem.
Yeah. Do you think that if during that time when it was the hardest, if you had really just had that balance that you do now, do you think your business would be where it is today? Or do you think you needed that lack of balance to get to where you are now?
Oh, sister, I think it was going to have to be that way, because there was just, I mean, the startup of Hidden Gem was no easy feat.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, between me being down, like literally down, and him trying to be a husband and comfort me, but having to really take the reins on getting this new business up, and to then the next year, COVID shuts us down for 3 months. Literally, we were shut down for 3 months, with full rent.
Oh yeah, I know. I was living in Seattle, so my gym was shut down with full rent for 12 months. So, yeah.
Insanity.
Yeah, that's insane.
I think it for that moment in time there was no choice. It's like, put your head down and dig, and that's what it was going to take. And I think we're better and stronger because of it, though.
Yeah.
And now we know what to look out for if we feel like we're starting to, because sometimes it's like it starts to get that way, and then we're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, slow down.
We got to chill it. Yeah. So it's better now. But to be honest with you, I think it took that for a little bit of time to get Hidden Gem to be able to even just survive, because that first 2 years was rough.
Yeah.
Rough.
And like any business, especially when you have like employees and rent and just, all the liabilities that you have as business owners, that's just how it has to be. It's a lot of fucking work. And
it is. And most it's if you can survive your first, what do they say, your first year in business, then you've done good. And then it's like, then you get to like this, what they call the swamp, which is like the 3-year mark.
Yeah.
And then if you can get past that, so it's like you go through these little marks, and it was like our first year which is hard enough on its own, but then it also went straight into COVID, and it was like, I mean, it just felt like we were doomed, but we survived. And yeah, to what you're saying, employees, rent, everything. I mean,
what do you think is the differentiator between, you guys that survived past that point and the businesses, specifically like gym businesses, who didn't survive that, not only their first year, but that, all 2020 and everything?
Community.
Yeah.
Our community. Because a lot of the gyms that did not survive were the big box gyms, and they don't have a community. It's a hamster wheel of people coming through the door, and they collect a check. They're building relationships. They don't know Rachel by her first name. They don't have that community. And I think a big survival mode for us was reaching out to our community, and not enforcing, but asking if you could please keep your gym membership so that Hidden Gem can have doors open when this is over. And I think only maybe 5 to 10 people at that time canceled their memberships.
Damn.
Everyone during COVID kept their memberships. And that I'm not saying that's the only thing. We have an incredible roster of trainers and staff and GMs and everybody who made this boat sail. And Greg and myself, I mean, it took all hands on deck. But our community is also what helped us survive, I think. You know, everybody kept their memberships and wasn't canceling on us, which helped keep the doors open when the 3-month jail sentence let up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the community is something that I think I keep seeing over and over again, like community and culture being just like that mark of success, but also just longevity. Because you can have initial success as a business owner, but if you can't get people to like really buy into your vision and your culture and your values, then you're
Yep.
not going to survive very long.
Yep. Yep. All about the relationships in the community. And we're super grateful for that time. But I definitely think that is a big contributor to our survival during that time.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I won't take up too much more of your time. What
No.
would be just one message that you would send to anyone listening, whether they're in business, if they're in bodybuilding, anything in between?
Life is too short to wonder and worry what if. Don't look back on your life and say, well, what if I had? It's better to take the chance and know than to sit in your rocking chair at 80 years old and say, what if?
Yeah,
Go after it, do it, whatever that may be.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Tawna. I'm gonna have all of your information down below in the show notes, as well as Hidden Gems information and the guest
Perfect.
pass link as well for anyone who is in the
Yes.
area and wants to check it out.
Yes. Thank you so much. I can't believe an hour has gone by. It went by so fast. Rachel, thank you so much for having me. I love you so much, and it was a blast.
Thank you so much.